Today in the crypto space, we see a lot of hesitation out of Bitcoin hovering around that $29,000 level and Ethereum hovering around that $1,900 mark, down approximately 1%. However, guys, the rest of the crypto space is not looking the greatest. We could be coming down to those lower levels. Right now, we're getting a few dips in the market, and we are ready to buy the dip on those fire sales. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, and more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that we've been tracking here on the channel for the last little while, and I think it deserves our attention, and that project is called Myria. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins, looking for opportunities. Whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, all we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of that volatility. And if you appreciate that strategy, subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including the live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. Guys, if you have any projects you want me to cover here on the channel, you can hit me up on the socials. The links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord group, guys. It's a great community, great place to catch up on some of that alpha throughout the day. And of course, guys, today's video is all about Myria. I want to give you a quick update. We've been covering Myria, both live and dedicated videos. We covered Myria approximately, let's see, about 12 days ago, which means that we're due for an update. But before we get into that, let's look at the general market first. We'll look at the top 100 to see what exactly is happening here. If there are good opportunities, and we'll put them down on a list for tonight's live stream. And of course, if you have any projects that you're interested in, that's the best time and place to actually request them live, and I'll put them in priority at the top of the list. Okay, guys, so let's begin, and then we'll jump into the Bitcoin price to see if Bitcoin is showing us a bit of an indication. Bitcoin does come down to those lower levels. I'm expecting a continuation to the downside for the alts, and that would be, an opportunity, of course, that we're going to take advantage of, looking for good projects that we've been kind of, doing those deep dives. Check out those deep dives, guys. Every week on Sunday, I do release a full-fledged deep dive on a lot of these new projects that are coming out that deserve some of our attention. So go check those out. This Sunday, I did release a deep dive on Unibot, a Telegram bot project, which I found to be really interesting. Go check that one out. It's right here. This one right here, go check it out. I thought it was pretty interesting, so I felt I needed to, dig a little deeper. But nonetheless, let's continue here. Okay, so we see a lot of sideways action in the last little while. BNB showing a bit of strength, only 2% to the upside, but nonetheless, at least it's upward sloping, which is good. Solana getting a little bit of a pullback, a lot of hang time in the last little while, so it could be that we get a bit of a pullback here. Slow retracement to the downside, approximately 3% to the downside so far, so not looking the strongest. Litecoin halving is around the corner, guys. A few days left, and we should see, a supply shock for Litecoin. Litecoin right now is getting a little bit of a pullback in preparation for this, it's halving. So it's something to consider here. Litecoin does usually sometimes give us that indication of a kickoff, because Litecoin does have its halving a little earlier than Bitcoin, and then usually that's when we start to see some action in this market. Right now, the market has been so dry, very sideways, very, basically boring, and a lot of the market, especially the retailers, are not really interested in this crypto space right now. But this is where we're at. Right now is when we should be looking for accumulation. Look at Shiba Inu right now, looking pretty strong, very, poised to the upside, approximately 11% in the last 7 days, which is good. Uniswap showing strength as well, 13%. Nice little swing trades to the upside. AVAX looking a bit bearish, down 3%. I'm interested in AVAX. I like the ecosystem, but we're gonna have to see some wake-up calls for some of these layer ones. These larger cap layer ones are definitely undervalued in my book. There's a lot of good opportunities there. Of course, Avalanche being one of them, and we have Polygon taking a bit of a dip, and Solana obviously the bottom of the range. Cardano slightly waking up, but still, in my opinion, very undervalued. Upgrade around the corner. corner. So a lot of these layer ones are still at the bottom of the range, haven't getting any relief to the upside just yet. Internet computers, lots of hang time right there. I feel like it might roll over very soon. Quant got a nice little impulse to the upside off that $100 level. Right now it's at about 110. Is it time to get into a fresh long after an 8% pump to the upside in the last 7 days? I don't know, guys. Quant obviously in the last little while has been doing much. It did show a lot of strength earlier on this year, but right now not so much. So I don't know. It's about looking for momentum. Obviously, looking for opportunities that show momentum. Optimism right now showing a lot of strength, 4%, 8% in the last 7 days. So a nice little rally to the upside, maybe breaking a little bit of structure. In fact, I'm interested in looking at optimism on the charts to see if we can get a better entry upon this confirmation. Maybe this is a confirmation where we should be looking for a pullback for continuation up, right? So good. I like these little charts here because they give you an indication of maybe opportunities that you should be paying attention to. Optimism right now is definitely at where it's at. I want to be taking a look there. Aave pulling back significantly, 6.4% in the last 24 hours. If you're bullish on Aave, you got to pay attention to Aave for sure. Stocks going sideways, nothing really interesting here. EGLD very quiet lately, very quietly going sideways. Tezos, nothing really there, lots of hang time. BitGet token getting some strength in the last little while, breaking up previous highs, looking okay, only 2% to the upside, but nonetheless it's the structure that is breaking and its move at the current level that is happening that shows a bit of strength. So I'm interested. Kava going sideways. What else do we have here? Chili's pulling back after some sideways here. Nothing really interesting. GMX pulling back a bit after an 8% pump. Sideways price action, guys. Bear market accumulation is where we're at right now. And of course, those retracements are going to be deeper than expected. Let's see what else do we have. CFX rallying up, a little bit of hang time right now. Consolidation. This either is a bull flag or a continuation to the upside. I wouldn't mind taking a look at CFX in tonight's live stream. And of course, just as a reminder, guys, that is the best time and place to make your requests. If you want me to take a look at some of those charts, feel free to let me know then at 7:30 Eastern tonight, and I'll definitely put your requests in priority. Guys, this is it. Overall, I feel like the market's really boring, right? And if you look at the trending coins on here on CoinGecko, CRV is taking a dump based on the exploit, a little bit of a hack there, coming down to those lower levels. I'm not interested in WorldCoin, not at all. I don't like the whole narrative whatsoever. PancakeSwap getting a bit of a bounce. We talk about PancakeSwap quite a bit here on the channel here and there. I still feel like PancakeSwap is going to make a bit of a comeback, so pay attention there. Unibot was that deep dive. Right now, when I covered it, it was at about $150. Now it's at about $128, give or take. The video was at 135. When I was doing the research the night before, it was at 150. I couldn't release the video fast enough to catch this dip. At the end of the day, the TA did mention that we were coming down to those lower levels. So far, this retracement is expected, and and a lot of us are, welcoming it. Retracements are great because you get to get into those projects that you're interested in on a fire sale. But don't back out. Once you get those retracements, don't back out like a lot of people do. You got to be fundamentally bullish, and that conviction needs to hang around, even though the project has retraced. Fundamentally, nothing has changed, right? Optimism getting those higher levels. I like that. PancakeSwap, a nice impulse to the upside. I'm wondering what happened there, what initiated the 6% rally here. Velodrome, nice grind to the upside, 30% on Velodrome. I like that. Velodrome Finance and Orient Chain. We talk about Orient Chain quite a bit, but I think we need a little bit of an update. Okay, so let's begin, guys. I know you're here to talk about charts. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. As a leading indicator, it's important that we pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing in the immediate short term, and then we'll shift our attention into the project of today, which is called Myria. Myria is a very interesting project. A lot of people are talking about it. I feel like it's due for a deep dive, guys. I'm going to be doing a deep dive and preparing for this deep dive for the up and coming Sunday. So make sure that you put your requests in on the Discord. There is a channel there where you can basically request a deep dive. And I know a lot of people are interested in these deep dives. So go join the Discord and feel free to communicate your ideas right there. So overall, right now, Bitcoin is looking for those lower levels. We did get a little bit of a dip here. Now, could we get a bounce where we are? Or is this a little bit of a bear flag? flag so that we can come down for another impulse to the downside. Guys, let's look at this in a little bit more detail before we get into the Myria chart. And of course, let's do that. Right now, we did get that breakdown. After this consolidation right here, we did get the breakdown. I took a bit of profit here. In fact, I exited my short-term spot positions on Bitcoin. Long-term spots are still intact. I'm not taking profits on those, but my short-terms, I'm willing to take profits. Took a bit of profit here, took a bit of profit here. So I'm happy with that. Now, any impulse to the downside, I'm willing to accumulate. But guess what, guys? I am not going to be accumulating Bitcoin. I still feel like Bitcoin, it did its job, and I'm waiting for altcoins. That's why here on the channel, and especially in the last little while, we have been focusing on lower cap, mid cap altcoins. For me, that is what I'm interested. You know, at about $100 million market cap, 150, 200 max, I'm looking around that zone to scale in. Obviously, larger caps are interesting. You get in, you get out, but lower caps are where you can make those gains. And that's what I want to be focusing on in the next little while to make sure that I pack those bags and DCA nice and slowly in those projects in preparation for the bull run. Bitcoin right now is not giving me that edge. I just still feel big picture. Bitcoin did a great job getting, a nice rally to the upside. 100% from the bottom is a good move, and the majority of the move should already be done. We could get up to about 35,000, 32,000. A lot of people think that 32 is very possible as an extension level. It's very, very possible, guys, but I'm not willing to get into a fresh long right now on this price action, given the fact that it already impulsed significantly. And right now we're hesitating right around this range. This could be a short-term distribution where eventually we do come down to those lower levels and maybe hit about $20,000. I know, guys, that is a very bearish price target, but guys, if you really understand why I'm saying about 20 to 19,000, it's because we want to back test this break to the upside. That's all I want. I don't want a lower low, right? And don't anticipate a lower low because we do have a bit of a volume gap down here that could act as support. We have a lot of supply and demand here. We have the point of control at, at bare minimum, a double bottom down here, and we have a lot of work to do to break below. However, guys, if we do get to about 19,000, this is the top of the volume gap. This is where we get a little bit of a spike of supply and demand. And once the bears kind of grind through all of this supply and demand, they're slowly going to get weakened. And as we get closer here, the biggest part of where strength is required, I feel like they're going to be exhausted. And this is where we could potentially get some support as a back test for this break to the upside. Okay, back test, reaccumulation, a fat accumulation phase here for a nice bull run, type of thing, packing our bags ready to go. Now in the short term, of course, bit of dips, little bit of rallies, type of thing, and maybe ultimately, some sort of wake off distribution in the long run might be due here. Okay, so let's pay attention. Right now, we're taking it slow and steady. We're being very, very patient because I do believe ultimately this market is in a fat accumulation phase, and we need to take advantage of that bit by bit, little by little, deploy that capital. Okay, so I'm not going to spend too much time here on Bitcoin other than the fact that we are retracing and maybe we get into oversold conditions on the daily. That's when I'm interested in shifting my vision into accumulation once again, especially into the altcoin market. All right, let's begin. Let's look at Myria. Myria, really good bullish project. Actually, like I mentioned, I really want to do a deep dive on Myria, but a lot of projects do come up on my radar. And of course, I got to put priority. Myria is one of those that I'm interested in. Okay, so expect a deep dive unless something else pops up. Like, that telebot narrative definitely took over in the last few days. So for me, that was important that I shift my attention into those narratives. But Myria right now is such a hot project. I feel like it's ready for a nice little break to the upside. In fact, we did get a nice little bounce. Okay, let's start out with the overall analysis that we've been talking about here on the channel. And you can see that we identified a couple of touches here. Okay, so let's turn these into solid lines. I put them in as spider lines when we only got a couple touches. And over time, we were getting more touches. So as we increase our touches on any trend, whether it be horizontal or diagonal, you have to give it more validity, especially after the third touch. Okay, the 3 touches are very, very important. Now you can see that we broke this, you can consider it a trend, but we didn't get many touches on this trend line. Okay, we got a wick, that got rejected quick. We got a top right here, and currently we're trying to break above this, hypothetical potential trend. Right now, it's not a trend. Remember, 3 touches. So what I can say is what we did very well at is buying the dip at these levels. We identified the bullish divergence, a couple drives to the downside while the RSI is moving to the upside. Guys, that's class A bullish divergence. Really good increase in volume as this is happening, which means that, eventually as we do break out, the RSI is showing us strength. The MACD was showing us a bit of strength as well. Look at these EMAs slowly grinding to the upside, and here we are. Okay, so this is the thing now. On the daily, you see these green volume bars. They're very, very bullish. I like the volume, increase in volume as this impulse does grind to the upside, but eventually the party needs to end. If you see, the last time that happened when we got that nice impulse to the upside, we did get a nice green volume bar and we did impulse to the upside, but eventually the party did end after a little bit of a sell-off. A wick did play out, and a very similar scenario that we just got, right? In fact, what happened was we did respect the TA very, very, pretty much accurately. You can see that this was the accumulation phase for me. Buying the dip at the bottom of the volume gap, 1 entry. Second entries when we defined or we were able to get in on this back test of the momentum, and we identified the bullish divergence on the 4-hour. We'll jump into the 4-hour in a second. But you can see here on the daily, we broke right through the volume gap, the weak spot in this chart, straight right through. You can see no hesitation, green bar to the upside. Then we started hesitating a little bit because of supply and demand based on the VPVR. You can see, and looking right, looking left, we do have some supply and demand to act as a bit of resistance. So it took a bit of time, and we did grind to the upside and continued. We got a nice impulse through the volume gap, and we hit the top of the volume gap. And guess what, guys? We sold off and got rejected. Okay, so that's very important. Now, this was a good TP scenario. Risk freeze scenario, right? You can take half on the double, you can take some profits, you can trail up a stop loss, whatever it is. I feel like at the current moment, especially on the 4-hour, you should be very defensive. Very, very defensive. The daily hasn't yet get into overbought territory, which means that based on the fact that the RSI impulsed way too high and way too quick, we could get a mean reversion play where we do come down and get a bit of a dip and then continue to the upside to overbought conditions. Right now, this impulse was very, very strong, and I feel like on the daily we could get a continuation to the upside, but not until the 4-hour dips a little bit more or shows us a bit of a back test of confirmation. So that's what I'm saying here. Right now it's looking good for taking profits, and it's looking good for trailing up a stop loss. The daily looks like it could continue to the upside. Look at the 4-hour right now. We are definitely in overbought territory. We got in overbought, pretty much extreme. Look at that. Nice overbought scenario. Now we are back testing this zone once again. If we create a lower high here on the RSI, that is very interesting. We'll keep that in mind. I'm going to put that there, very hypothetical, because there's nothing there with momentum to suggest that's the case, but we're going to keep, an eye on it. Let's put this dashed line instead. Okay, we want a downward sloping RSI here, but you can see that the price action, excluding wicks, is giving us a very interesting scenario. And I'm not going to make this dotted because so far, actually, you know what? Let's keep it dotted. So far, what we can see is that we are potentially creating some bearish divergence, right? I'm going to change it to solid so we can see it a bit better. You can see that ultimately the price action is creating a higher high, right? Excluding wicks. Higher high, while the RSI potentially might be getting a lower high. If this actually follows through, and this is why you guys have to pay attention to this chart in the next couple of days, I'm giving you some of the insight for further continuation. I want you to be able to track this setup as the days pass, because of course, I'm there live, of course, and you can request a Myria update live, but I would like to equip you with some of the technical analysis for yourself so that you can kind of track this on your own. As long as the RSI is downward sloping and the price action is upward sloping, we are getting class A bearish divergence. Okay, so this is very important here, guys, because it's the first sign of weakness. Now, you can look at this horizontal also as a sign of resistance. We got rejected in the past, and the volume gaps tend to get respected, right? So we got one volume gap and right around here, and we are in overbought condition. So because of those two scenarios, overbought And at horizontal, for me, it's the opportunity to potentially protect your gains here on the 4-hour, because if we do get another impulse to the upside while maintaining the bearish divergence, I would be taking a bit of profit once again and trailing up that stop loss. If we do roll over based on the 4-hour and kind of back test, it's very likely that we back test the break to the upside. We back test this break, right? Now, because we didn't form a very strong trend here with 3 touches, right, it's very likely that we get a very, very deep retracement, maybe even down back to the bottom of this volume gap to about, 0.001, 0.0013. Okay, so that for me is very, very possible, so that we can actually get a structure. Right now, this structure is there, but it's, it's definitely downward sloping structure, but it's not very strong because the trend lines aren't there to give us a clear ice line or invalidation point. If there's no clarity in invalidation or confirmation points, guys, it makes us believe that the price action can go wherever it wants, and technically it can. But if there is a trend and there is invalidation, the market tends to want to respect those, and that's where usually we put our stop losses and our buy orders and so on and so forth, and we get reactions at those points. But if you don't have clarity on those points, then what is the market going to be doing, right? So we got to wait. We got to wait for a clear structure to form, clear support and resistant lines, and then we can get in there with a little bit more conviction. But as we speak, we're looking at this 4-hour for potential reversal to the downside, and that's why I am saying be careful here with this nice impulse, because it is a nice impulse. We were able to basically get the bottoms right around here. If you were following the channel, I did release a update on Myria 12 days ago. I covered it live, and I also posted some take profit scenarios there on the Discord as we were entering this zone. And you can see that from the average position, if you were DCing into these 2 green arrows up until now, let's say you DCA'd out into these 2 green arrows, you're looking at 62%. Let's be modest, even here, 52%. Okay, even if you removed and you just got in from this green arrow to this green arrow, you're talking about 40%. Okay, so that for me is absolutely healthy, guys. Don't give it back to the market. Take profits, walk away with those gains, be very protective. And I'm talking about short-term spot positions, not long-term. In the long term, guys, this could continue to the upside. We can get a continuation where we see Myria really bounce really hard. And of course, look at the levels that we've hit. We've hit nice bottoms. We have some nice tops up there to kind of test some liquidity to get, hold of at these levels. And at the end of the day, if we get into a nice accumulation phase here at the bottom of the range, we will definitely have an opportunity to accumulate more Myria on the cheap. So be patient, but make sure that you accumulate for your long-term spot positions. All right, guys, if you appreciate anything that I've offered you here in this video, do the channel a huge favor, slap that like button. It does really help out with that algorithm, and of course all the support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description below. Feel free to hit that Discord group. Great opportunities there, guys, to engage with like-minded individuals that are loving TA and giving good trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. Guys, take care. See you tonight at 7:30 Eastern live. Have a good one, and don't forget, buy the dip.